Hey there! Today I would like to talk about a pen that has been anticipated for a long time, and that is the Noodler's Ahab Flex Pen. I got the clear demonstrator, and I'd like to talk you through the pen, and I'd like to give you my thoughts on what I think of the pen. So first of all, when it comes to the packaging, it is a Noodler's pen, which means you get this really fairly straightforward, let's put it that way, straightforward packaging. I don't want to call it simple, because yes, it's just cardboard, but it has some really nice drawings on it, and I don't think people should belittle this. There's some pretty nice artwork on there, so that's fairly cool. Then you get a sheet of paper in the little box, the cardboard thing, which is like an instruction sheet on different, how to convert it to eyedropper and how to use the converter that comes with it, etc. And on the other side, it has a very nice bit of artwork with Captain Ahab in there. So, a note, of course, especially the fountain pen for a lag thing going on there, which is kind of funny. Okay, now, the pen comes with a typical converter, a push-type converter, or pull-type converter, whatever you like to call it. I already removed it. If you want to see it in action, check out Brian Goulet's videos. From the Brian Goulet of the Goulet Pen Company. His channel is called The Ink Nouveau, is on YouTube, and you will find a lot of very useful Ahab videos. So this is the converter. Usually it would be sort of in there, so you have the nib and the feed section, and this screws in there. As you can see, it has screw threads. There's a breather tube that goes into the feed, and then you have this thing, and you just pull it and you draw in ink into this reservoir, and even a little bit of ink into that thing because it's hollow. Now, the beauty, something I really like about all Noodler's pens, is that they can be disassembled. Like it's super easy. The same goes for this thing. You can replace the rubber O-ring. You can just unscrew this little knob, and you can push this out, and you can replace the O-ring. Everything is threaded. You can open it up, and I wish all pens were made that way, because it's really easy to do maintenance and cleaning them out. In any case, what I wanted to do, I got a demonstrator, so a clear pen, and the reason for that is that I really wanted to use this as an eyedropper converted pen. For those of you not familiar with that, it means quite simply that you take the barrel, you unscrew the this is very dangerous what I'm doing right now, but I'll take the risk. You unscrew the feed, and as you can see, the barrel is filled with ink. So this, my dear friends, is a lot of ink. If you understand that a standard international cartridge holds, now I don't think even 1 milliliter of ink, and this holds multiple milliliters of ink, you can understand that this is a lot of ink. So I got the clear demonstrator because I thought it would be fun to fill it up, with ink. And as you can see, it's kind of funny to see the ink level change and stuff going on there. And of course, it holds a lot of ink, which is very useful for a flex pen, because a flex pen uses up a lot of ink. When it flexes, the tines open, and a huge amount of ink is used. So, having said that, don't expect me to tell you about the converter. The converter works. I tested it, works just fine, but I chose not to use it simply because I wanted to use it as an eyedropper. Okay, let's have a look at the pen. It starts out with a cap. Of course, it's a demonstrator, so the cap is clear too. It has this nice little metal band. It's a screw-on cap, which I enjoy because it's much more difficult this way to accidentally pull off the cap. But the really miraculous thing here is the clip. You see, it's a pretty high clip. It's a big, arch there. And if you look at it like this, then the silhouette you get is that of a whale. And the whale theme is very important for the Noodler's brand, and I think this is a really nice, unique design. As with all the Noodler's clips, they are fantastic. See, they're really easy to open and yet tight enough to keep the pen in place, so that's always very nice. And that's, you know, that's pretty much it. Of course, as I said, it's a demonstrator. There's some reflection of the light, but you can see the nib in there. You screw it open, and then you see the large nib. Now that is one of the things I like a lot about this pen. It's just bigger than the old-fashioned flex pen. So this is one of the oldest batches which still had the hand-set feed in there made of ebonite. And then you got the new batches which have the machine-made feed, which you can recognize. It's a bit more triangular up there. And then you have the Ahab, which again has this triangular thing, so I think that's a machine-made feed too. In any case, if you compare the old flex pen to the new one, you will see that the nib is bigger. It's broader, more wide-shouldered, and it's just bigger. That will not give you more flex. I've tried it out. I was stubborn, but they both give you about the same amount of flex. So don't expect a pen that suddenly flexes up to 5 millimeters or something because it's a bigger nib. It doesn't work that way. What I love about the grip, this is very difficult to show you, but the grip is slightly tapered. So it's fairly wide here, and then it gets a little narrower there. That's amazingly pleasant to hold. My big issue with these previous flex pens, I love them. I love the flex writing, but I have large hands. Look at this hand, look at this pen, and then you kind of see the issue. So for me, it's just, these pens, the old pens, are just not that comfortable to hold. This is fairly narrow grip section, so yeah, I could post it and then it would be okay, but for me, writing for a long time was not that comfortable with this pen. The Ahab, although it's wider, isn't that much taller than the original pens, but the width aspect really matters. So if I show it to you like this again, then you see that it is slightly bigger, but not that much bigger, but it's more comfortable to hold because it's thicker. So as you can see here, I have absolutely no problems with this pen. It's already fairly large. If you post it, it turns mammoth. The cap doesn't go on that far, so it's a huge pen. I don't really post it, but it's so pleasant to hold. This simple, I mean, it's an extremely simple grip section. The slight tapering works beautifully. It's really nice to hold. So I've stressed that enough, I think. Then you got the barrel, and again that's slightly tapered at this side. I think this was actually modeled after Captain Ahab's false lag, if I understand correctly. In any case, it looks nice. And of course, because of the clear resin, it's easy to see the ink inside, which is kind of funny. So that's the pen. There isn't that much more to tell about it. They come in a variety of different decals. I mean, this Cardinal Darkness you can get, I think, and the Bumblebee design you can get in the Ahab size. But this is the demonstrator. So, how does the pen write? Well, I'm going to give you a writing sample in which I compare all three flex pens, the old feed, the new feed, and the flex. In my experience, which the pen only arrived yesterday, but it's already quite considerable because I wrote with it quite a bit, which you can actually see because when I inked it up, the ink level went all the way up there, so I have been using up quite a bit of ink already. The pen writes nicely. It flexes fine, but what I really like about it is that it takes a bit of pressure to get the flex effect. Now, of course, you would like the pen to open up fairly smoothly, and it does. But the good thing is, you have to apply quite a bit of pressure. Not too much, but quite a bit. And the good thing about that is that you can use this as a regular pen. You can, write your grocery list with it or whatever, but it will not flex too much. So if you do not apply any pressure, you get a nice fine line. And that means you could just write your everyday notes with it, or whatever you do with your pens, without getting this huge flex effect. And I think that's very nice, because it makes the pen very versatile. Because you can use it in your everyday writing, and if you like, you can just add a little bit more flourish to it by flexing it. So that, I think, is amazing. Now, when I converted it to an eyedropper, I had some startup problems. It took a while for the pen to write. Now what I did is I just put on the cap and put it like this, sort of leaning against the cupboard for a while, and then the feed tends to really saturate. It will take a while. Don't overdo it, because I actually got some ink in the cap. I'm not sure whether that was because it leaked, because the pen itself doesn't seem to leak. But in any case, I wouldn't overdo it. But it did help. After that, I got a fairly consistent ink flow. The problem with the flex pen is that you, especially when you flex it really strongly, it can railroad. You have to adjust your writing speed, and if you do that, then it should work out fine. But even then, sometimes when I was going too slow, it railroaded as well. So there is a type of, I think, an optimum writing speed, which you have to figure out for yourself and for your specific pen and feed slash pen, feed, and nib combination. So you have to, fiddle a bit with that, but once you find it, it writes really well. It's a smooth writer. It's a stainless steel nib, and still it's very smooth. So I think that's everything I've got to tell you, and I think it's much more interesting and insightful to just watch the pen at work. So the next thing I'll do is I'll give you a writing sample, and that's it. So see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so the different Noodler's flex pens. I have three. I had the, I think this was Cardinal Darkness, the Bumblebee, and of course the new Ahab pen. I'm going to show you how the three of them write. The Cardinal Darkness is the oldest one I have, and this one still has the hand-set feed. And I think, actually, of the three, this one is the wettest. Now you can play around a little bit with the feed and the nib setting, but in my experience this one is the wettest writer. The reason this pen keeps moving is that I have a small tripod here which has magnetic legs, and the clip is attracted by the legs of the tripod. Sorry about that. So the Bumblebee, this was of the latest batch of the flex pens, and as you can see this has a different feed. I'll show you the other one in comparison. This one has a feed that is no longer hand set, and you can recognize it by the sort of triangular bit there, which the hand set feed does not have. I think this one is a little, the nibs are the same on both pens, but I have the feeling this one's a little, well, what you call that, a little stiffer. Still, it flexes very well, so no problems there. It's just that it's, in my experience, it's a little bit stiffer. Maybe the feed combination, whatever. And here we have the clear Ahab. You can see it's clear. You can see the nice eyedropper stuff going on there with the ink actually in the barrel of the pen. This one too has this sort of triangular feed. I take it this one is machine made and not hand set. Works very well. The nib is larger than on the other ones. There's ink coming out of it. You can see the nib is larger. It's larger, it's wider, but the amount of flex you'll get is the same in both pens. This will not flex more simply because it's a larger nib. So let me show you how they write. We will start with the oldest one. So that was the Cardinal Darkness one. I'll call it the old feed. I have to adjust my writing speed, otherwise the pen will railroad. This is not not even nearly copperplate, but just to show you line variation. Line variation you will get with this pen is amazing. I add pressure as I go here. I shouldn't go too fast and shouldn't go too slow. So when I flex this to the max, you see the difference between the lines it creates without pressure and the line with a lot of pressure is huge. You will also get more feathering, because of course this is a huge amount of ink, yeah, it depends a little bit on the paper of course and the ink you are using. This is Dragon's Napalm by Noodler's. Nice ink, very nice bright orange. So that's what you can expect with this pen. You can't get them commercially anymore, I think. because the new pens all have the new feed. I did kind of like this old feed. It's a fairly wet pen. I didn't even have to alter it to get it this wet. Alright, then the Bumblebee, the newer feed type. Whoops, nearly knocked over the camera there. So here we have the new feed. This is with what's called Waterman Blue, the Florida Blue. That sounded a little scratchy, and it was a little scratchy, but it was because of the poor way I held the pen. It wasn't part of the pen. The new feed. So I have the feeling that this one takes a little bit more pressure to open up. Now, it's the exact same nib as on the old feed pen, so maybe it's just my imagination, I'm not absolutely sure. In any case, as you can see, it still opens up well enough. You still get a lot of flex, but I think it just takes a little bit more pressure, which I actually like, because that means you can use this pen for everyday writing without having the great flex effects with the slightest bit of pressure. There we go. So again, as you can see, great line variation, very wide, very narrow. Another great pen. I like both of the pens, so both the older feed type and the newer feed type, I like them both. And then the magnificent Ahab. I really, really like this pen. You know, it's just a lot bigger, and for me with my large hands, it's just a lot easier to hold. So let's check this out. The Ahab. This is a Caran d'Ache Storm, purple. I really like. See that? That's an absolute hairline. That's really a fine. Some of these lines I might actually call extra fine. So that's a really, you know, fine line. Then I try to open it up by adding more pressure as I go. You see, this is fairly quickly. The feed keeps up, doesn't dry out, doesn't railroad. There it goes. That was a little too enthusiastic. But that's fine. Let's see if I can get it to write again. Yes, I can. Okay. Hello there. Well, there we have it. So, the evolution from the flex pen with the old feed to the new feed to the Ahab, the big Ahab. All three are good pens. If you're in the market for a flex pen, this one I guess you'll only be able to pick up as a used pen. These ones are still available, I think. And so are these. At the moment I write, well, not I write this, but at the moment I make this video. If you have large hands, get an Ahab. And if you have small hands and you want a big ink capacity, get an Ahab. In all other situations, this one will do fine. It is a nice model. It has an ink window, which is nice. I've never disliked this pen. It's just a bit small for my hands. So here you have it. This is what you can do with the different pens, different pen types. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later.